Hi everybody, Jo here again. How are you doing? I just thought we'd have a take on, I'm using a dandelion stamp to just look like fireworks. And I just thought our lovely little bunnies here are just looking up, and I don't know if you'll be able to capture the sparkle on those fireworks. Like I always keep saying, I need a good cameraman here, don't I? And I've gone for the sentiment, every dream begins with a wish. So it's time. What can I say? Grab yourself a brew, cheeky snack, whatever you're having, you get hold of it now and we'll have a little play at creating this design. And I'm going to start off with a piece of multifarious card, and this is 5.5 inches square. As you know, it's the size I like just because it fits beautifully on a 6x6 card blank. And I'm going to stamp my tree first, and this one is the tree of courage, I think. We've got the tree of hope and the tree of courage, and they face opposite ways. So, and I'm going to use the black VersaFine Clear ink, and again, lots of light tapping, and we'll stamp this first. I'm just wiping. As you know, I tend to overstamp round the edges just because it's something I do. And again, I'm just going to stamp on the side just because it's easier for me. And I'm just going to pop my tree over that side. And again, it's quite a large tree, this. So I've got a large block, and there's absolutely beautiful detail in this. So I'm just going to give that ink a minute to soak into the card. I'm just going to flex my block a little because I want all that beautiful detail of the tree. And there we go. And I just want the tree coming off the edge here. I want to make sure I've got room for my beautiful little hares. Right, and we've got 3 on here. So again, I'm going to ink these up in black. And I'm just going to do my stamping first. And we'll just ink him up. Right, I'm just going to have to bring that a bit closer just so that I can I'm going to put him there. And again, these are silhouette stamps, so you just want to give it just that ink time to just soak into the card. Don't be in too much of a rush. And we'll take him off, and let's get his pal. So one's definitely facing left and one's facing right, and I tend to stamp these 2 first because they're going to be sort of my outside. And again, if you're not sure of where you want to stamp them, remember the trick of use your acetate. So we'll put this one here at the same level. Lovely. And then we'll go for this cheeky little chappy who goes in the middle. And he's got his ears back, so I think he's been a bit naughty or a bit mischievous. He's like we've got one of those naughty elves, the little mischievous elves. And we keep taking pictures and sending it to the grandchildren of what he's been getting up to. Nothing too naughty, obviously, but just mischievous little things, like unravelling the toilet roll and, you know, things like that. Right, so we're going to put him in the middle, and I'm just going to bring him slightly forward so they're not all on the same level. It'll just add a little bit more interest. And again, give that time. Oh, that's lovely. And then I'm just going to give the card a bit of a blot because I'm going to do my landscape next. And obviously my VersaFine Clear is a slower drying ink. So, in fact, I'm actually going to just heat it a minute, so excuse the noise. But it's just, I really want to make sure that this ink is dry before I start adding my landscape, because if I smudged it, I'd have to start again. So it's not worth rushing things. And again, whenever you heat from the front, just heat from the back, and that will flatten your card. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to use the colour, I'm going to use the elements, and I'm going to use henna, simply because I just think when we've got these inks, they are perfect for the gel press. But, you know, it's not just only the gel press, you can use them on. So it's good to use them for lots of other things. So we're going to make our background with this. And I'm going to use my Lavinia stencil brush. Now, my first bit of landscape is going to be on this hair that's at the front, and I just want to get this under under his bottom there. Now this, I want to be nice and dark, so I will take a little bit off, but I'm going to come in really dark with this. And don't worry, see how it gets mottled at first? Well, we'll get rid of that and we'll get a nice even overall colour. But I want that nice and dark. A, to ground the whole design, but B, to help with that perspective, because obviously the nearer it is, the darker it will be. And so my next one, just want to almost mimic the shape of that tree, but I want to catch those two bunnies, those two hares. So I think we'll go for that. So again, I'm flicking in from the sides first and coming under. And again, I want this quite dark, but not as dark as the first one. So my aim is to go lighter with each piece of the landscape I do. I want to go a little bit lighter. So let's have one. I don't want to go over his. If you get careful, see, I don't think it would look right over his, in the middle of his ear. So I'm thinking if I just angle it like that and move it across, we don't want it to be repetitive. We don't want the shape to look the same. So I'm happy with that. And again, I'm going to come in from the side and just catch these sides first, because I want my sides a bit darker. And then come in and just add that nice light. And these stencil brushes just blend. It's so effortless. Yes, and then I'm going to come in, let's swap and move to our next, and let's have a couple of hills. Let's see. Oh, I quite like that, the way it's just landed. So again, I'm going to pick some ink up here, come in from the side, and again, we're going lighter here. So more of a light touch, a nice light flick. Yeah. So again, we've got that lovely perspective. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to come in with the acetate circle mask. And again, when it comes to where to put the moon, I want to look where, I'm just the sort of person, I don't like it in the middle. I like to offset. Now there for me with that hill doesn't look right. I like the shape. I quite like that mirrors that shape there. I'm happy with that. And also it gives me room to stamp my lovely fireworks. So now with this one, I want it quite light. So again, take that ink off and definitely start on your mask this time. And gentle flicks. You don't want this to come too dark. Just a nice light covering in the sky. So again, I'm just going to move my thumb, flick. And I'm going to come in with a bit of ink up the side, look. Take that off, yeah. That's enough colour. And I do want to, just let me get my kitchen roll. Again, I don't want dirty finger marks. Let's just flick a little bit of colour. Pick some up from my mat. And just flick a nice bit of colour round here and across the sky. And as I say, with these stencil brushes, they're so lovely for just adding such a gentle amount of colour. I mean, this would make a beautiful, almost sepia design, and you could do the whole thing in sepia. It is amazing, just one ink pad, what you can do. Now, what we will do is just going to add a tiny bit more, and you know me, it is a tiny bit. And I'm going to take my stencil, my watercolour brush, and this is number 1. As you know, I have a thing about number 1. I just want to take a bit of that water off on my Inky Binky. And I'm just going to watercolour paint, give a bit more colour to this tree. And I'm just doing that with the ink that's on my mat. Because again, we don't want to waste it, do we? And how many of you stick your tongue out while you're watercolour painting and you're colouring? Good job you can't see me, isn't it? A few more little branches up here. It just adds a nice bit, and we're keeping it all tone on tone. And then what I will do, just going to add some little splats. I've got to have my water splats. We need some of those, don't we? And then just to add a little bit of depth, I'm going to come in with graphite. Just put a tiny bit on my mat. And I'm going to add just a little bit of graphite, and again roll my brush, look, so it's a lovely fine point. And just here we've got almost in the nooks and crannies. Now I don't know if that's a term we use here in the UK. So just in the bits of the tree where it would be a bit darker, I'm just going to add, and down this side, Just going to add a little bit of the graphite just to almost build up. We've got so much detail in this tree. Tracy has drawn it absolutely beautifully, so we can highlight that just by adding a little bit and just watercolour painting, as I say. So here in there, that would be darker, so we'll just add that. And this is one of those things you don't necessarily notice it straight away, but if it wasn't there for me, it just wouldn't, the whole finished design wouldn't look as nice. And also I just love doing it. I must admit, I find this so relaxing. I'm going to blend some ink around the edge. So just to make sure that this is dry, if you just bear with me, I'm just going to bring in my heat tool again. So I'm going to come in with my graphite again, just add a little bit of shading around the edge. I'm going to start at the bottom. You won't necessarily see it because this is quite dark at the bottom, but it'll just almost get me into that routine of blending. So I'm going to go round, and I always ink up on the corners, and then we'll come up this side with this ink and just start to bring it in a little. And as I say, you won't see a great deal, but it'll just help frame the whole design. The corners I want to be deeper, just along the top, and again, ink up on this corner. As I say, just to frame the whole design. And because I'm inking up, I'm going from the bottom up, and then have a look at the whole thing. Just, that needs a little bit more around there, doesn't it? Just to keep that lovely, yes, I'm happy with that, just frames. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to have 3 of these, because 3 is just such a good number, isn't it? We like an odd number, makes our brain happy. But what I want to do is almost add a bit of sparkle behind, because you know how the fireworks light up the sky? So I'm going to come in with a pan pastel, and this is a pearl medium, and I've got this lovely applicator. So I'm just going to put some white pan pastel, and this, as I say, it's a nice pearly one. And I'm thinking, let's have one here. So I'm just almost adding the glow first. So I'm just putting a circle there. That's where we're going to have one. We'll have another firework here. That's 2. And the third one, we're going to just pop it at the top, just almost coming in. So it's off the page. It's always lovely to have something off the page. And again, I'm just going to use my finger to blend the edges. And I'm just going to add a little bit. Just, you know, when you've got the fireworks in the sky and it just makes the sort of the landscape just have that sparkle. So we'll add a little bit of sparkle. We're going to stamp our fireworks now. And I've gone for 3 colours of VersaFine Clair. I've gone for the Glamorous, Golden Meadow and a Verdant. So I'll come in first with the lighter. So I'll go for the Golden Meadow. And we'll stamp this one. Now again, you could do them all the same colour. And I'm going to stamp over where I've added the pan pastel. Just going to, with a wet cloth and my Inky Binky, give my stamp, because I'm going between colours, but also I may just get some of that pastel on it. So for me, it's important to clean it in between. Then it'll stamp properly. So this one, we're going to put coming off the page. And I might just have to tilt it a bit just to see where the pastel is. Yeah. Well, there we go. I don't know if you can see that, the sparkle from my fireworks lighting up the sky. So it's just really a finishing tricks, and we're going to come in with our chalk pastel pencils. As you know, I love these. So first of all, I'm just going to add, and as you know, for me, I just add highlights. You can use a gel pen, but for me, I just find the chalk pastel pencil is a bit more forgiving, but that's just me. You use whichever product you're happy using. And again, we'll just have a little bit of highlight there. And then what I'm going to do is add from this yellow firework here, just going to add a little bit of, sometimes when you've got the fireworks, they almost throw the colour, don't they? So this is a beautiful yellow. So it's just going to almost mimic a little bit of yellow here. It's just going to catch. And in the pastel here, just going to add that hint of yellow. So where I've got my red firework as well, I'm just going to add a hint of red. It just in with that pan pastel just to make it look like it's almost reflected. Just a little bit of reflection, just to reflect, as I say, how it would be. Yeah, I don't want to overcook it, but I like that yellow. What I will do is add a little bit of brown just to highlight. These pastel pencils work beautifully over your inks. So I'm just going to add a little bit of brown to add a bit more depth to that tree. Yes. And then in with the black, I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow. So a little bit of shadow from my tree. And again, I'm just going to smudge it. If you remember, it fixes it, but also it just makes it look more like a shadow. And we'll give Rabbit here. That shadow will be that way. You're not really going to see that shadow because he's so deep on the dark colour, and that'll be that way. Obviously the moon's there, so my shadow's going to be that way. Smudge that. Just for the last little trick, we're going to add some of our glitter. Now again, it's the Eco glitter. So we're going to come in with our Eco glitter, and this one I've gone for Turkish Delight. I thought this lovely colour look. I always give it a bit of a shake before I start, just to mix, because obviously it's got 3 or 4 different grades of glitter in there. I'm going to bring in my Quickie Glue pen and just round, just want to add some sparkle. I know I've got my pan pastel, but I just want a little bit more sparkle. Now I'm just going to, as I say, I've given it a good shake. I'm going to tip it on the fireworks. And I'm actually going to put quite a lot on because, again, as I say, we've got oh, look at that colour. Oh, look at that. Can you, I'm hoping, can you get that real firework sparkle? Now, the sentiment I've gone for is every dream begins with a wish. And you know me, what I tend to do when I have pieces of card spare, I stamp my sentiments a few times because a lot of my card designs I leave without a sentiment. And that way, when I know what I want the card for, I just look and I've got sentiments ready stamped up. Now I'm going to put this on with, I don't know if you've seen Lavinia stamps do glue, and this is lovely, except it's not easy for me to say. Bippity boppity glue. So thanks, Tracy. Next time, can we just call it Lavinia glue, please? And all I'm going to do, there we go. It's always the way, isn't it? Whenever you use something. Now, I tend to, this is a dries clear glue, but I'm just spreading it out with my finger. Now, what I should have done was edged it first. So I'll see if I can come in now. See, this is what it's like being at home, isn't it? When you've forgotten to edge it, but just don't think it looks right not being edged. So, but it doesn't matter. We can get round it, can't we? Nobody will ever know I put the glue on first. And I'm just going to pop this up here. And again, oh, there we go. That's nice. Just that little bit of edging just takes it, for me, the starkness away from the card. So if I bring in my finished one. Now this one I've edged on a copper coloured card. But like I say, you could put it straight on your card blank. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now, just as a little bit of extra inspiration, look, we've got more fireworks here, and we've got Fox from Fox Set 2. So again, you can mix up, think of all the different stamps that you could have here. Now, I'm not sure if I've got room to put him. Maybe we'll put him there so you can see the two. We'll just stand him there. So, every year begins with a wish. Take care, everybody. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.